AOS. AOSD Chandler. AOSD. Watch me bring it out.
Assembly of Sound Doctrine.
AOSD. Watch me bring it out.
You know the script. So what they saying? You brought her with you. Now you're playing. I ain't playing with your plans. Scriptures watch the land. I'm powering up with higher guys like Super Science. I can do it solo. Kill a whole doctor with 3 quotes. From the Christians to the Hebrews. They're all lost like Nemo. And they give them a shot like a free throw. Break it all down like a peephole. Take some notes from the investigating knowledge. It's the rest of the spirit in the kingdom. That's the keyhole. Oh no, I know it's been fulfilled and all know. The kingdom is here, I'm hyped, so underneath we might glow. Come learn with me, this new covenant living. The kingdom within, loving all of God's children. Watch me bring some truth, frameworks of good fruits. Hebrew literature, real doctors like saber tooth. I'm gonna let it loose from the Passover to the Feast of Booths. From the law of Moses, from head to toe to the new creation, everything is new. AOSD, 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 Assembly of Sound Doctrine.
AOSD Chandler.
Shalom, 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 shalom. Let's get ready to rock and roll. I'm trying to actually get this recorded on my Facebook, YouTube, as well as Clubhouse. So what I'm finna do, I'm finna go over um, how the ancient Israelites exegeted Isaiah 2, 1 through 5. But first thing first, this is Evan Israel from the Assembly of Sound Doctrine Chandler, where I concentrate on trying to learn and teach everything from the ancient Israelite perspective. In dealing with Isaiah chapter 2, there is a plethora of information that get lost in the translation. So what I'm trying to do today, uh, quickly, because I'm supposed to go on a little bit later on tonight also. But quickly, I want to go through how the ancient Israelites actually exegeted uh, Isaiah chapter 2, verses 1 through 4, 1 through 5. And if anyone comes at you in the future, you will have a proper explanation on how to deal with Isaiah 2 when people have all of the different, arguments against it. So, what we're going to do, shalom, brother Demetrius. Yes, sir. Just doing a recording of this to exegete Isaiah 2, 1 through 5. I just wanted to yes, sir. So it ain't gonna be nothing big. I'm on my Facebook. I'm gonna upload it to the YouTube and as well as Clubhouse. Since they got these replays on, we can finally record it for people to listen later on. Okay, yes, sir, yes, sir. And I really didn't even tag a lot of people. So if they come across it, they do, and they don't, they don't. Uh, so here we go. We're gonna start off with Isaiah chapter 2 itself, because a lot of people have uh, we get a lot of feedback from the negative persuasive when we bring up Isaiah 2 and the fulfillment of Isaiah 2. And one of the first things that the scoffers come say, um, we're not living in the last days. It's the last days prophecy. These things took place in the last days, therefore, it cannot be accomplished. So, uh, using the power of of the spirit and the allegorical means on how these things actually come to be, we're going to actually exegete it today. So let's get ready to get started. We got Isaiah 2. This is going to be straight from the KJV today, as well as, KJV. So, and then I'm going to do some Dead Sea Scrolls too. The word that Isaiah, the son of Amos, saw concerning Judah and Jerusalem. So, the first thing we need to understand, work with me, please, y'all. My allergies mess up during this time period, so just work with me. Let me get some water. Okay, so now, the first thing we need to understand is the elements that's presented. Judah and Jerusalem. Judah, southern kingdom. Jerusalem, the place where the southern kingdom as a whole is following the covenantal arrangement presented to them in Mount Sinai, later on in Mount Horeb and Mount Moab. Uh, that that covenant, this is pertaining to the southern kingdom and the locale of Jerusalem dealing with that covenant of old, the Mosaic covenant. So now, verse 2. And it shall come to pass in the last days that the mountain of the Lord's house shall be established in the top of the mountains, and shall be exalted above the hills, and all nations shall flow into it. So, if you take that at face value of what it's saying, face value wise, it's saying that there is going to be a house of the Lord being established on top of mountains with an S, and exalted above hills with an S, and all nations with an S shall flow into it. So now it seems like, if we're taking it at face value, that we have one mountain of the Lord's house being established. Sorry about that, y'all. We have one mountain of the Lord's house being established on the top of many mountains, and being exalted, lifted up in higher status above many hills, and all the nations around was going to flow into it. So now, here's the common sense thing number one. If the Lord house is on many mountains, more than one, many mountains, and many nations is going to flow into it, that would be default saying that each nation has a mountain that they can flow into, making it be, and when they flow into that mountain, the same ruler is on the top. So the same ruler is on the top of each mountain. No matter where the mountain is located, the ruler, there's one ruler on top. So you can go on top of this mountain in the west, it's ruled by the Lord. You can go on top of this mountain in the east, it is ruled by the Lord. You can go on top of this mountain in the north, it's still ruled by the Lord. You can go into this mountain of the south, it is still ruled by the Lord. All the mountains have one king on top of it. So this is at face value. So that's one way you can look at it. Now, I'm not saying that's the correct way you can look at it, but if you're going to make it literal, that's the way that you should literally look at it. So all nations can go into their own individual mountain, and it still belong to the Lord. So that's one way you can look at it if you take it at face value. Now, I'm not saying it's face value, but if you take it at face value, that's the way you should look at it. But now we're finna go into the ancient Israelite mindset on how they viewed it. So Isaiah 52, I'm going to read verses 6 through 9. This is what it says. Therefore, my people, now listen to the wording. Therefore, my people, so that my people shall know my name. My people shall know my name. Therefore, they shall know in that day that I am he that doeth speak. Behold, it is I. How beautiful upon the mountains are the feet of him that bringeth good tidings. So now, how beautiful upon the top of the mountains are the feet of him that bringeth good tidings, that publisheth peace. So now we have peace being published, and bringeth good tidings of good. So we got good tidings of good, that publisheth salvation. So we have the publication of salvation, and that said unto Zion, Zion, thy God reigneth. So now it's been understood that the God is reigning on top of the mountains. How beautiful upon the mountains are the feet of him that bringeth good tithing. Thy God reigneth. So he's reigning upon the mountains. Okay, so let's go to verse 8. Thy watchmen shall lift up the voice. With the voice together shall they sing, for they shall see eye to eye when the Lord shall bring again Zion. So now, the understand here, y'all know that it's spoken of. All eyes shall see him. Correct? We have the all eyes shall see him motif. Here it says the watchmen of Zion will see him eye to eye when the Lord shall bring again Zion. And now we're going to go to verse 9. Break forth unto joy. Sing together, ye waste places of Jerusalem, for the Lord hath comforted his people. He hath redeemed Jerusalem. Now, hopefully you guys see the imagery that's going on here that was expounded upon in the New Testament. What was the goal of the Holy Spirit? To comfort the people. Right here, the Lord had comforted his people. So, by default, this is the bringing in of the Holy Spirit. And he hath redeemed Jerusalem. He hath redeemed Jerusalem. We found out that the 144,000 hath been redeemed, right? So, there's nothing, there's everything that explains and expounds what's going on here, right? So now, we're going to go to Isaiah chapter 2. And I'm going to read 3 through 4. It says, and many people shall go and say, and it's a reason why we read Isaiah 52. In fact, we can go into what Isaiah 52, the reason why I brought that up, actually, now. So, if we look into the Dead Sea Scrolls, right? And we see, let me find it. All right, right here. So we go into the Dead Sea Scrolls. Let me get back here. Right there. That's what we did. Under the portion labeled the coming of Melchizedek, right? Let me see if this one has it. And this one's is free. You can download it on YouTube. You can download it on PDF. I'm sorry about that. I don't see the coming of Melchizedek here. If it is, it's lost in those right there. But I got the hard copy. So, um, and it's the Dead Sea Scrolls. I got a new translation by Michael Wise, Martin Ebeg, and Edward Cook. But anyway, this is what it says. Dealing with the same verses that I just read, right? So let's go back to uh, Isaiah 52. So Isaiah 52 is actually a parallel of Isaiah 2. So this is exactly how this works. Isaiah 52, verse number, what was I at? 6 and 7. Uh, right here. Therefore, my people shall know my name. Therefore, they shall know that in that day that I am he that do speak. Behold, it is I. How beautiful upon the mountains are the feet of him that bringeth good tidings. Right? So, in um, face value, we didn't went over that. But this is how the Dead Sea Scrolls audience interpreted that verse. This is on page 592. It says, the figure of the messenger, an anointed one, who comes with the message from God, but is cut off. It says, this visitation is the day of salvation. Give me one sec. And sorry if I didn't already went on. But anyway, I think that's enough. So it says this visitation is the day of salvation that he has decreed through Isaiah the prophet concerning all the captives. Inasmuch as scripture says, how beautiful, so we right here, how beautiful, let's see, upon the mountains are the feet of the messenger, or of him that bringeth good tidings, who announces peace, who brings good news, who announces salvation to that of Zion. Shalom, Brother Arnez. I'm actually doing a recording. I found out that you can record um, on Clubhouse and people can view it later. So I'm going to actually start doing this as well as continue with my YouTube and Facebook. So if I say anything that you want clarification, just let me know. Or if you got to leave, come back. I understand, but I'm trying to. I'm just right now. I'm bringing out this scripture. Uh, so yes, sir. So back to Isaiah 52 verse 7. So now, once again, this is parallel to Isaiah 2. But this is Isaiah 52 verse 7 coming out of the Dead Sea Scrolls. Let's don't forget that the ancient Jews themselves gave interpretations of scriptures. They gave commentary. So we kind of don't really need the church fathers. We don't need recent Americans. We don't need a whole lot of modern day interpretation because we literally have ancient day interpretations on how they view the scriptures. So let's go. It says, the visitation is the day of salvation that he has decreed through Isaiah the prophet concerning all captives, inasmuch as scripture says, how beautiful, so this is Isaiah 52 and 7, how beautiful upon the mountains are the feet of the messenger who announces peace, who bring good news, who announces salvation, who says to Zion, your divine being reigns. So this is going to be the most, and here it says the God reigneth, but it's the divine being reign. But here's the one of the most important parts. This is their understanding of this. The scripture's interpretation, the mountains, so y'all see this right here, verse 52 and 7, how beautiful upon the mountains are the feet of him. The mountains are the prophets, they who were sent to proclaim God's truth and to prophesy to all of Israel. So now, face value, if you take the word mountains there as literal mountains, your whole ideal is already off. If you take this as literal mountains, then your theology is off because he's not, even though the words mountains are there, the truth behind the word mountains is allegorical. It really stands for prophets. So when you go back to Isaiah chapter 2 now, because it's Isaiah 52, when you go back to Isaiah chapter 2, when it says, verse 2, and it should come to pass in the last days that the mountain of the Lord's house shall be established in the top of the mountains. He's not talking about geographical locations. He's not talking about the plateaus and mountainous regions. No, he's talking about the prophets. So it said in the last days, the mountain, aka temple of the Lord's house, shall be established in the top of the prophets and shall be exalted above the hills. So guess what? It's a last day scenario. So if the mountains is going to be the prophets, then the hills have to be Israel. And the nations would have to flow into the prophets and Israel to become partakers of Christ. I mean, bam. That should just stop it right there. That should be the end of it. I mean, now we realize if you put the correct word where it goes, what he's talking about, then maybe we can further on instead of saying this hasn't happened yet. But anyway, we're gonna continue. Verse 3 and 4. And many people shall go and say, come ye, let us go up to the mountain of the Lord, to the house of the God of Jacob. And he will teach us his ways, and we will walk in his paths. For out of Zion shall go forth the law and the word of the Lord from Jerusalem. So, once again, this is where we mess up again. We see, let us go over to the mountain of the Lord. And we know the mountain of the Lord right there is the temple, it's Jerusalem. But when it says to the house of the God of Jacob, this is when we get thrown off. Because we don't know who the God of Jacob is. We have no idea who the God of Jacob is. We want this to be El Elyon, the Father. The great I am, Christ clearly made a statement. So now, we're just going to go there real fast and we're going to come back. Once you go into the book of Revelation, chapter 1, this is what Christ says right here. 1, let me find it. And 8. This is what Christ said. I am Alpha and Omega, the beginning and the ending, said the Lord, which is and which was and which is to come, the Almighty. So Christ said he was the Almighty. You go to, let's see here, Colossians, and we're going to go right back to Isaiah after this. You go to Colossians 1, and let's see here, 15, who is the image of the invisible God. There's so much right there that could be said about Colossians 1:15. So much, but we're not going to go there. The firstborn of every creature. For by him were all things created that are in heaven and that are in earth, visible and invisible, whether they be thrones or dominions or principalities or powers. All things were created by him and for him. He is before all things, and by him all things consist. And he is the head of the body of the church. Just in case, who is the beginning, the firstborn from the dead, that in all things he may have the preeminence. So just in case people don't understand, this is Paul recognizing that the Messiah was the creator. He was the one who created all things, and he put all things. In verse 19, it says, "For it pleased the Father to let it be known that there was two higher beings in the heavenly realm." I know a lot of people don't understand that the Jews, the ancient Jews, were not monotheistic. They understood that there was a Word who was a God, and then there was the Father who was the God. And they made the Word who was in subjection to the Father, they made him, they understood him being Christ, being in subjection to the Father. So the Word would have been the great I am, being in subjection to the Father. And this is why when Christ made the statement, "Before Abraham was, I am," they immediately tried to stone him because they understood what he was proclaiming. So we got that out the way. So now back to Isaiah chapter 2. If you don't know that backstory, then Isaiah 2 is going to throw you off. So now it says, "To the house of the God of Jacob," for that would be Christ. "And he," the God of Jacob, "will teach us his ways, and we will walk in his paths," the God of Jacob. And it shows dot dot. So now this is going to explain what that looks like. So now, us walking to the house of God, the God of Jacob, and him teaching us his ways and his paths. Now the English translators, they put these semicolons there to explain what's finna be said now. The clause that goes after this is finna to explain the clause that came right before it. So now, "For out of Zion shall go forth the law and the word of the Lord," we know that's Christ, "from Jerusalem." So out of Zion going forth the law and the word of the Lord from Jerusalem is the explanation of going to the house of the God of Jacob and him teaching us his ways. Because his ways would be the law. That's how that actually works out. So now we're going to continue. Verse number 4. "And he," who is the he? The God of Jacob, "shall judge among the nations, and shall rebuke many people, and they shall beat their sword into plowshares, and their spears into pruning hooks. Nation shall not lift up sword against nation, neither shall they learn war anymore." And what people do with this verse right here, first of all, they don't understand the imagery of the Garden of Eden language. The nations are taking their swords and beating them into plowshares and pruning hooks. This is agricultural language. This is what was presented in the Garden of Eden. They were supposed to be good sowers and etc. So he's using that imagery of the Garden of Eden to speak peace. But what people do with this verse, they say this is about all nations on the planet Earth being at ease with each other and there being peace throughout the whole entire cosmos. And we say, no, that's wrong. That's not what that's talking about. First of all, it says in his mountain. But second of all, let's show what this is talking about, because woe and behold, another prophet spoke on this. So let's go to the prophet that spoke on this and see how he explained it. And we would actually get a fuller story of how Isaiah started it. So once we go to Micah chapter 4, and we're going to read down verses 1 through 8. And this is Micah's explanation of that same prophecy that Isaiah gave. This is what he said. "But in the last days it shall come to pass that the mountain of the house of the Lord shall be established in the top of the mountains, and it shall be exalted above the hills, and people shall flow into it." That's exactly what Isaiah 2 said. So let's keep going. "And many nations shall come and say, Come, and let us go up to the mountain of the Lord, and to the house of the God of Jacob. And he will teach us his ways, and we will walk in his paths. For the law shall go forth of Zion, and the word of the Lord from Jerusalem. And he shall judge among many peoples, and rebuke strong nations afar off. and they shall beat their swords into plowshares, and their spears into pruning hooks. Nation shall not lift up sword against nation, neither shall they learn war anymore. Uh-oh. Now we have more verses that go with it. But they shall sit, every man under his vine and under his fig tree, and none shall make them afraid, for the mouth of the Lord of hosts have spoken it. And we can see a reference to that in the New Testament when he said, I saw you under the tree, Israelite indeed. But anyway, for all people will walk. Now listen to verse 5. For all people will walk, everyone in the name of his God, and we will walk in the name of the Lord our God forever and ever. Hold on now. I thought that people, you could come up with, wait to, hold on, let me see here. And the moderators, y'all can bring up whoever that raised their hands and stuff, because I'm still continuing on. But anyway, verse number 5. Now, I thought people said that at the end of the days, everybody's going to be at peace. Everyone's going to be under the Most High. Everyone's going to be under Christ. It's going to be one harmony. There's going to be no more this and that. We're all going to have one mind. The law's going to be in everybody's hearts. And until that happens, things haven't ended yet. But according to Micah, who uses the same prophecy that Isaiah used, people are going to be walking in the name of their gods, and the ones who follow the Lord is going to be walking in the name of him. So by default, the people in Isaiah 2 who went up into the nation of the Lord from the nations, they will be the ones walking in the name of the Lord. Those people, not the people, everyone in the name of his God, not those people. The people that's walking in the name of his God, them are not the ones beating their spears into plowshares and into pruning hooks and their swords into pruning hooks. It's not those people. The people that's walking in the name of the Lord, their God, they are the ones that's actually doing that. So now, verse number 6, it says, in that day, said the Lord, will I assemble her that halteth, and I will gather her that is driven out, and her that I have afflicted. And I will make her that halted a remnant. So now this is a remnant of people. And her that cast far off of a strong nation. And the Lord shall reign over them in Mount Zion from henceforth, even forever. So is the Lord reigning over them on the whole universe? No. The Lord shall reign over them in Mount Zion. So that mountain that the Lord is establishing on top of the other mountains who are the prophets, that would be Mount Zion. And we read a lot about Mount Zion in the book of Hebrews chapter 13, as well as Revelation chapter 21, Revelation 22. We have it here in Micah. So when you see it in Isaiah, it's talking about the same Mount Zion. And according to Hebrews, that Mount Zion is heavenly Jerusalem. The Lord shall reign over them in Mount Zion. The Lord shall reign over them in heavenly Jerusalem from henceforth, even forever. So now verse 8, and thou, O tower of the flock, the stronghold of the daughter of Zion, unto thee, unto thee, unto those daughters of Zion shall it come, even the first dominion. So that will be the dominion that Adam received in Genesis chapter 1. That was the first dominion. He made man in his image and told him, have dominion over the earth, the fish, the beast, and etc. The first dominion in Deuteronomy, in Daniel chapter 7, all dominion was taken to the beast and given to the saints of the Most High. These people are getting the dominion. These are the people that have flowed into Mount Zion, not the whole earth, but Mount Zion. All of these things are happening in Mount Zion. The kingdom shall come to the daughter of Jerusalem. The kingdom shall come to the daughter of Jerusalem. What kingdom? Is he talking about the kingdoms of the world, or is he talking about the kingdom of Mount Zion, which is heavenly Jerusalem? Is he asking them to rule over the planet Earth like a military man, or is he saying that the rulership was going to be a spiritual rulership that can be seen in Mount Zion? So let's continue now. And this is the remarkable thing. We know that there's no chapters, divisions, and etc. Woe and behold, once you continue reading, you end up in Micah chapter 5. And what's going on in Micah chapter 5? You have Micah 5 and 2. But thou, Bethlehem Ephratah, though thou be little among the thousands of Judah, yet out of thee shall he come forth unto me, that is to be ruler in Israel, whose goings forth have been from of old, from everlasting. And once you go into Matthew 2, 5 and 6, and they said unto him, and this is when Herod, right? Herod asked where the king was going to be born at. And they said unto him, in Bethlehem of Judea, for thus it is written by the prophet, and thou, Bethlehem, in the land of Judah, art not the least among the princes of Judah. For out of thee shall come a governor that shall rule my people of Israel. So the reason why I went there is because just a few words after it was expounded how the people was going to rule in Mount Zion, we have a prophecy of the Messiah coming. So obviously Micah put this whole ruling and reigning around the time of the Messiah. So if Micah put the ruling and reigning around the time of the Messiah, then by default, Isaiah chapter 2, which is the same parallel chapter, has to occur around the time of the Messiah. So now, let me prove that even further. So this is Isaiah 11. I'm going to read verses 4 through 10. It says, but with righteousness shall he judge the poor. Now we read in Isaiah chapter 2. It says right here, Isaiah 2 and 4. And he shall judge among the nations and shall rebuke many people. Isaiah chapter 11. But with righteousness shall he judge the poor. So now, for the people who want this judgment to be a judgment of the nations, when he's destroying the nations and blood is everywhere and blah, 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 this and that. It sounds real good. It would be a fantastic movie. I would watch it. I would pay to watch it. But that's not how the ancient Israelites saw it. That might be how we try to make it today, but that's not how they saw it. So here, he's actually judging the poor. He's going out to those poor people, to those meek people, to those humble people. We're going to actually see when this is played out in the New Testament. Because people say, if it happened in the old, and you said the last days was in the New Testament when Christ was born, why come we don't see Isaiah 2 being displayed? Yeah, we do see Isaiah 2 being displayed. The problem is you don't like how it's being displayed, or you're overlooking it because you're looking for something else outside of what ancient Israel was looking for. So this is what it says. But with righteousness shall he judge the poor, and reprove with equity for the meek of the earth. Now, I know you guys are knowing where this is coming from in the New Testament. But I'm going to keep reading. And he shall smite the earth with the rod of his mouth. Not no military right now. Not no military as of right here. Not no nuclear bombs. Not no COVID. None of that. He's using the rod of his mouth. And keep going. And with the breath of his lips shall he slay the wicked. So it seems like the slaying that Christ is doing is dealing more with what he's saying, what he's presenting, his gospel. And through the gospel, his judgment comes. But let's continue. Let's continue. Verse 5. And righteousness shall be the girdle of his loins, and faithfulness the girdle of his reins. The wolf, so now we have the wolf. This is what everybody wants literal. The wolf also shall dwell with the lamb, and the leopard shall lie down with the kid, and the calf, and the young lion, and the fatling together. And a little child shall lead them, and the cow and the bear shall feed. The young ones shall lie down together, and the lion shall eat the straw of the ox. And the sucking child shall play on the hole of the asp, and the weaned child shall put his hand on the cockatrice den. That, verse 9, they shall not hurt nor destroy in all my holy mountain, Mount Zion. Not the entire globe. He's only talking about Mount Zion. They will do this in Mount Zion. You got to put that in your mind. This is not talking about the whole entire planet. This is talking about what's going to happen in heavenly Jerusalem, Mount Zion. They shall not destroy nor hurt in all my holy mountain. For the earth shall be full of the knowledge of the Lord, and the waters cover the sea. I'm going to read just the next verse. And in that day, there shall be a root of Jesse, which shall stand for an ensign to the people. To it shall the Gentiles seek, and his rest shall be glorious. Notice, in that day, the Gentiles are seeking the Lord. In Isaiah chapter 2, what happens? The nations are saying, let us go up into the mountain to learn the ways of the Lord. Isaiah 11, in that day, the Gentiles are seeking the Lord. It's the same exact time period. The problem is Isaiah 11 put this in the days of the Messiah, and people want this to be in the days of 2021, 2022, 2023, 2050, or further. The scriptures put it in the days of the Messiah. In that day, there should be a root of Jesse, which stands for the ensign of the people. This happened in the New Testament, and the Gentiles were seeking Christ in the New Testament. Not 2,000 years in our future, but in the New Testament. This is when that happened right here. So, we have, and you know this is the Spirit of the Lord coming and etc., right? But just in case, they say, hey, bro, you bugging with that. I'm going to go, once again, to my Dead Sea Scrolls, right? And there's a commentary on Isaiah left by the Dead Sea Scroll community of ancient Israel. This is found on page 237 and 238. Let me read what it says. This is a rod will grow from Jesse's stock. We just read that in verse number 10. A rod will grow from Jesse's stock. A sprout will bloom from his roots. Upon him will rest the spirit of the Lord, a spirit of wisdom and insight, a spirit of good counsel and strength, a spirit of true knowledge and reverence for the Lord. He would delight in reverence for the Lord. He will not judge only by what his eyes see. He will not decide only by what his ears hear, but he will rule the weak by justice and give decisions in integrity to the humble of the land. So when he's going through the land of Canaan, healing people, he's giving decisions. You remember how he gave a decision about the woman? Should we kill her? He who without sin cast the first stones. And if you say, well, that's not in the original documents, that's not in the original scrolls that was added later on, then how he was going from places to place healing people and telling them, sin no more. Heal another person. Sin no more. So right here it says, he will rule the weak by justice and give decisions in integrity to the humble of the land. He will punish the land with the mace of his words by his lips' breath alone. He will slay the wicked. Justice will be the sash around his waist, truth the sash around his hips. This is their interpretation. This saying refers to the branch of David who will appear in the last days. Now, hold on, guys. Now, you guys going around when we say it, y'all say that we wrong, right? Y'all preterists, y'all wrong. The last days ain't here, my brother. The last days is 2,000 years in the future. We're living in the last days right now. You got COVID. You got the SIM cards. You got the cashless society coming. You got America this and that. That's what you guys are saying. But into ancient Israel, the last days was in the time period that the Messiah came. Let me read it again. This saying refers to the branch of David who will appear in the last days. This is why the author of Hebrews 1, 2, and 3, this is why they could say, this is the last days. This is why Paul could make the statement, upon us has the last days came. This is why Paul could make another statement. Christ was born under the law at the fullness of times. This is why John can say, this is how we know we're in the last hour, my brothers. Many antichrists have came. This is why Peter can say, the elements will burn, and it's time for judgment to start right now, beginning at the house of Israel. This is why the book of Revelation can say, hey, 7 churches, the things that I'm saying right now, they're finna happen shortly, because everyone knew the time period that Elijah and the Messiah came was the last days. And woe and behold, John being Elijah, the Messiah, they came in the same exact generation. The same generation, Christ looked at his disciples and said, you guys, some of you guys will still be alive when I come back in my kingdom. So, I mean, they all knew when the last days was. So are you saying the Dead Sea Scroll community are preterists also? Because they're saying the same thing that we say. Now, I didn't go in time and create the Dead Sea Scrolls. So we can't do it like that. So now, let's say when these things was fulfilled, I'm going to show you when this was actually fulfilled in the New Testament, and then we can call it a day. When we go to Matthew chapter 4, I'm going to read 23 through 25. Now notice it says in Isaiah 2, and Micah 4, at the last days, so we're saying that's the days that the Messiah ruled. I mean, he came upon earth. He taught. What did he teach? The kingdom is at hand. John the Baptist, the Elijah, what did he teach? The kingdom is at hand. What did the disciples teach? The kingdom is at hand. What did Christ say in Luke 16:16? The law and prophets was into John. After that, the kingdom is preached. So they all knew the kingdom was going to be established that first century. So now, this is Matthew 4, 23 through 25. Listen to how Matthew explained it. And Jesus went about all Galilee, teaching in their synagogues, and preaching the gospel of the kingdom. So now Christ is going around teaching the gospel of the kingdom. So if Christ was teaching the kingdom is at hand, and he's going around teaching about that kingdom, would he not be establishing the kingdom? Because he's telling them the kingdom is coming now, so now let me tell you about the kingdom. But anyway, let's keep reading. And healing all manner of sickness and all manner of disease among the people. So he's going around, he's going out, he's healing the weak, he's healing the poor, he's making decisions on the weak, on the poor, on the meek. Verse 24. And his fame went throughout all Syria, and they brought unto him all sick people that were taken with diverse diseases and torments, and those which were possessed with devils, and those which were lunatic, and those that had the palsy. And he healed them. And there followed him great multitudes of people from Galilee, and from Decapolis, and from Jerusalem, and from Judea, and from beyond the Jordan. So listen to this great multitude of Jews and Gentiles following Christ. So now, once you go to Matthew 5, look what's going on right here. And seeing the multitude. So now Christ, they're following him. So now he's looking at the multitudes. We done already read where the multitudes of people came from. They came from everywhere. So in seeing the multitudes, he went up into a mountain. So why would he go up into a mountain? Would he not now be trying to hit what Isaiah talked about? That's what's going on right now. Many nations are flowing into me. So the way to put this cherry on the top, I finna go up into a mountain, and I finna sit down, and I finna teach people my ways. Let's see if he did that. And seeing the multitudes, he went up into a mountain. And when he was set, his disciples came unto him, and he opened his mouth and taught them, saying, Blessed are the poor in spirit, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven. Did not the Dead Sea Scrolls say he was going to go teach the poor, the meek, the humble, make decisions? See, look, this is what he taught. Blessed are the poor in spirit, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven. Blessed are they that mourn, for they shall be comforted. Ain't that what we not read in Isaiah 52, 6 through 9, which was a parallel of Isaiah chapter 2? Blessed are the, verse number 5, blessed are the meek, for they shall inherit the earth. Blessed are they which hunger and thirst after righteousness, for they shall be filled. All of this language is found throughout the Psalms and throughout Isaiah. Blessed are the merciful, for they shall obtain mercy. Now, didn't it say in his mountain they was going to take their swords and beat them into plowshares? There was no more people going to hurt in his mountain. Look what he's telling them. It says, Blessed are the pure in heart, for they shall see God. Blessed are the peacemakers, for they shall be called the children of God. Blessed are they which are persecuted for righteousness' sake, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven. Doesn't it seem like that he's making some decrees since he's the king? He's explaining and expounding on people the rules and regulations of his kingdom. He's teaching them his ways. If you want to see God, you have to be pure in heart. If you want to be called a child of God, you have to be a peacemaker. If you want to inherit the kingdom, you have to be meek. If you mourn, you will be comforted. That's what the Holy Spirit came and did. Hold on, I'm gonna read 2 more. Blessed are ye when men shall revile you and persecute you, and shall say all manner of evil against you falsely, for my sake. Rejoice and be exceeding glad, for great is your reward in heaven. Where is it at? Great is your reward in heaven. Where is Mount Zion? Heavenly Jerusalem. His holy mount will be established. Mount Zion, heavenly Jerusalem. Great is your reward in heaven. Is not he now explaining, expounding, and telling them how his ways of going to run in the heavenly Jerusalem and how to obtain the heavenly Jerusalem? Of course he is. For so persecuted they the prophets which were before you. And you could keep reading how he called them the light of the world and a city that cannot be hid. And let your light shine so before men that they may see your good works and glorify your Father which is in heaven. Right? So I'm going to go to two more and then I'll be done. Two more books. You go to Mark 3. So this is Mark 3. This is parallel to it. I'm going to read 7 through 13. It says, but Jesus withdrew himself with his disciples to the sea, and a great multitude from Galilee followed him, and from Judea, and from Jerusalem, and from Idumea. Hold on now. You mean to tell me Esau's descendants was following Christ also? And from Jerusalem, and from Idumea, and from beyond Jordan. And they about Tyre and Sidon, a great multitude. Look where all these people came from. When they had heard what great things he did, came unto him. And he spake to his disciples that a small ship should wait on him because of the multitude, lest they should throng him. Let's see. I'm going to go down to verse 13. And he goeth up into a mountain and calleth upon him whom he would, and they came unto him. And that's when he ordained the 12, and he started speaking about the kingdom and etc. So now we're going to end it with Luke chapter 6. I'm going to read 17 through 19. It says, and he came down with them and stood in the plain, and the company of his disciples, and a great multitude of people out of all Judea and Jerusalem, and from the sea coast of Tyre and Sidon, which came to hear him, and to be healed of their diseases. And they that were vexed with unclean spirits, and they were healed. And the whole multitude sought to touch him, for there went virtue out of him, and healed them all. And he lifted up his eyes on his disciples and said, blessed be ye poor, for yours is the kingdom of heaven. And continue. So we can literally see, if we quit playing with scriptures, if we quit playing and acting like when the Bible say end days, it's talking about the 21st century, or if we quit saying, oh yeah, that's the end days, my brother, but it's going to happen again. Because the end days, one day to the Lord is 1,000 years, so the end days is many a days, which nobody ever knew, which nobody ever used dealing with prophecy. Not one time in prophecy was one day to the 1,000 years and 1,000 years to the day used with prophecy. Not one time, but people do it because they don't want to believe the Bible. Because it didn't happen like they thought it was going to happen. They missed the whole spiritual application. They don't understand what purpose this being fulfilled in the first century served. They are lost in all of this stuff. Therefore, it didn't happen. And another part, they have been taught their whole lives that the last days is whatever time period the people reading the Bible is. So if you read the Bible in the 14th century, the last days is in the 14th century. If you read the Bible in the 18th century, the last days is in the 18th century. If you read the Bible in the 21st century, the last days is in the 21st century. When they read the Bible later in the 40th century, the last days is in the 40th century. That's how they've been taught, but that's not how the Bible works. And we can see by the people of the ancients who lived before Christ, they even knew the last days was going to be the time in which Elijah came and the Messiah came. Not for his final judgment in the old covenant, but when he was walking on earth establishing his kingdom. They knew that was the last days. So yes, Isaiah 2 has been fulfilled. It's actually spoken of And I showed you in Matthew, Mark, and Luke. So there's no need to say, when did that happen? I don't see it happen. Yes, you do. You're just ignoring it because it didn't happen how you wanted it to happen. And I am done with that. Now, if you guys want to have a Q&A, if y'all want to discuss it, we actually can. I'm going to mute my mic and I'm going to end my recording on Facebook. So if y'all want to discuss it, we definitely can. Anybody got anything?
Thank you for clicking on the channel.
AOSD.
Similar Sound Doctrine Channel.
Similar sound doctrine.
AOSD, RPK, Resurrection Prophet Kingdom. Like, subscribe, share. Let's go.
Come get a lesson. I'm teaching blessings. No need for guessing. I'm knowledge testing. It's truth time. The wise will shine. And the wicked will pine. I'm a righteous kind. Straight out of trouble, I'm keeping it subtle. Just me and my brothers and sisters. They love us. We fixing the puzzle, no stressing. I comes in the bunker. The struggle with aunties and cuz. Wanna read it, believe it. They should be back. See it and need it. Like a kid back. Breaches and pieces. Like a Kit Kat, Akis and I get seized. It's a Hollywood, not Dollywood. Album love, the kingdom within. AOSD is finessing. RPK, let your journey begin. It's a Hollywood, not Dollywood. Album love, the kingdom within. AOSD is finessing. RPK, let your journey begin. AOSD, 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 Assembly of Sound Doctrine. Well, yeah, the Old Testament, I was just dealing with Isaiah chapter 2, but yes, sir.